is the last time I can say this. Welcome back to the World Championship Series. This is the Premier League round of 32. This is also the last game that we're going to be playing, not only in Cologne, Germany, but of course across the round of 32, where we started in Burbank, California, with groups A through to D. Now it's time for the final game of the round of 32. 15 players, boys, have qualified to play in Canada, and now just one position open with 2 players left. And it is going to be a Protoss versus Protoss between elfi and GunGFuBanDa. When you first look at this, Kolaris, and think about this, I mean, talk to us about the matchup. You look at these two names, they're playing the best of 3. What's your first thing that pops in?
And we end the round of 32 as we ended our challengers with elfi. So let's see what's going to happen. Because the thing is that we saw that elfi can actually show some pretty solid PvP through his series with Haas, unbelievably. And eventually it did actually go on to the later stages. But GunGFuBanDa in this matchup, when it gets to those later stages, is incredibly formidable. He's had this kind of German breeding program all the way through and has had to go up against some of the strongest German Protoss for a while and then done pretty well against them. So, yeah, I think he's got a good shot on, of course, his Challenger Group series.
Pig, it's one way to play a series when you keep on winning and you're consistently winning. You win Challenger, you win your first game, you go into the second, you got a great mindset. You just lost a match now. It's a completely different atmosphere for him up there now.
Absolutely. You know, I think GunGFu, he went in, he knew he was the underdog, and I don't think he was thinking about losing that set. I think he was thinking about winning. He was thinking about, what can I do to steal this game away in the hardest way possible? And he was so close to doing it. I think at the end of that game, some players would be crushed. They would think, I was so close. But looking at the expression on his face, talking to him just now, GunGFu is focused, he's in the zone, and let's not forget that not too long ago, he 2-0'd many-time EPS champion Hasuobs. His PvP's up there.
I mean, that's a big feat right there, Pig. Our 3 maps, Coda, Iron Fortress, and Echo for the map pool here. I don't want to talk about Coda just now, but Iron Fortress and Echo, we've got a 4-player map as map number 2, and then if need be, down to a 2-player map. I know you're a Zerg player, so I don't want to put you too much on the spot, but overall, it's a pretty comfortable 3 maps, right? You've got the 2 most played maps pretty much this season in Coda and Echo, and then Iron Fortress, pretty comfortable as well.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I guess those maps work out in kind of how you'd expect them to. elfi did veto Varney and Inferno pools, so vetoing, I think, the more out there maps, wanting to limit it towards a more standard game, not going for anything absolutely crazy. And we did see elfi is capable of those more standard game players. Expedition lost, getting knocked out by GunGFu, as was Cactus Valley. I feel like these are more comfort vetoes than anything else. It is a mirror matchup. Nothing is hugely favored one way or the other. Of course, Iron Fortress, there is quite a lot of big wide open areas. We do see Colossus play being popular, but we did see Haas, for instance, going back to the older Charge Lot, Archon, Immortal. Yep. Maybe one of these players toys around with that a little bit.
All right, well, our first map here between these two, Kolaris, is going to be Coda. Yep. Coda, a pretty comfortable map. You don't think any side is going to be feeling uncomfortable coming into this, right? They're both going to be in a pretty neutral state of mind.
Yeah, I would say so. I think as the whole series goes, I mean, even on Coda as well, I would give GunGFuBanDa a clear advantage. As much as elfi wanted to play GunGFuBanDa, it's because he pretty much didn't want to play Jaedong, right? I think we can probably say that. I think I spoke to elfi before this actual series was about to be, the previous series was about to begin. He was like, I don't want to play against Jaedong. You'll crush me again. So that wasn't too bad, actually.
You've been practicing your elfi impression.
Well done.
Well, I did live in Finland for a while, so I kind of get the accent quite a bit. I mentioned that every cast. So, yeah, I think GunGFuBanDa is going to have a pretty good shot here.
All right, well, let's start talking about the players. Both are up there. They're almost ready to begin this series. Let's go over to the German now. 17 years of age, had a golden opportunity to a golden ticket to go over to Canada to play. A massive opportunity, and it's just been ripped away from him through the experience of Jaedong. You've talked to him, he's focused, he's composed. What is the #1 thing he must keep in his mind, at the front of his mind, coming into this series?
I think GunGFu just needs to remember that he is a PvP specialist. This is his home territory. He is strong here, and he needs to deliver the sort of play that we've seen him deliver in Fragbite and other tournaments. He's just such a dominating player in this matchup. Right. I think the only thing he needs to do is to remember, don't play too safe. play confident, be ready for anything, and scout very, very well.
You've known Elfi for a long time here, Colaris. You've seen him cast and you've seen him play games. You've cast him for years and years and years. What do you think's going through his mind here? You've cast him in tournaments. You've seen him play them. Is it just his cat, or is there something a little bit deeper than that?
I'm thinking it might just be the cat. But aside from obviously those cat thoughts, that he's obviously if he gets on forward, he can get a little bit more prize pool and treat his cat to some extra things, for example. I think that in the earlier stages where he does excel in PvP, he might be looking for those opportunities, because if he goes longer in these games against GunGFuBanDa, I think he's going to be shot down.
All right, well, we've had a long evening, but it's now time to close the evening up, to close the round of 32 up. Which player is going to Canada? A best of 3 with everything on the line between these two players. It's Germany versus Finland with Todd and Rotterdam.
Thank you very much, Sean. It's indeed been a long day. It's been 4 long days of non-stop WCS action over here from the studio in Cologne. And after this series, we will know the 16 players that will go to Toronto. Todd, it's all going to come down to one more final PvP. How's your PvP brain hanging in there after all the things you've seen today?
Has brought a lot of confusion to my PvP metagame, you know, I guess brainstorming, but it's only has.
I see what you did there. He did storm.
Yeah, well, actually, it wasn't intentional. Team Bad Buns didn't strike this time. But yeah, I mean, these guys, I expect more of the European standardish touch to their PvP here to take action.
First map is going to be played on Coda, like the boys already mentioned at the desk. Over here on the left top side of the map, we have our German Protoss. He was so close to already advancing, already clinching that spot, but he's going to have to win this series first. It's GunGFuBanDa. Why couldn't he just call himself GunGFuBanDa? It would have been so much easier then.
This was a German accent. GunGFuBanDa. And his opponent, starting on the bottom right-hand side, playing as the blue Protoss. It is, of course, the almighty Elfi.
For a second, I thought you were going to introduce him as the man, the myth, the legend. All right, all jokes aside, this should be a very fun PvP series and a little bit of digging to see if these two guys have ever played against each other. And they did, twice in 2014 though, so it's not super relevant. Elfi won both of those encounters. However, I think it's safe to say that GunGFuBanDa has been getting a lot better over the last few months. And if we look at that series against Haas, you gotta say that GunGFuBanDa was a lot more solid and impressive in his victory than Elfi was.
Actually, it's funny you asked me about my PvP, because not too long ago I tuned into your stream and you are playing a best of 3 against Elfi, so you can probably tell us a lot more about how he plays, considering you 2-0'd him.
Yes, I did 2-0 Elfi, and as much as I would love to brag about that, which, you know, I could do, but I'm not going to do it this time, because I believe he had a cheeky drink or two that night, Todd, so I don't think he was playing at the same level as he is going to be playing on tonight. And he even mentioned it when he walked in the studio here yesterday. He's like, Rotti, we need a rematch. I could not even click on my building, so I was like, all right, big guy, let's get a rematch in. But, you know, we've got quite a bit of information on these guys, and it's very likely that both of them are going to open up with Blink Stalkers and a Robo over here. But if I look at the way that GunGFuBanDa played that on Iron Fortress against Haas, I loved everything he did. I thought it all made so much sense. It was solid. The way that Elfi did it on Expedition Lost, I liked the start, but then at a certain point I was like, yo, expand, man. Like, you've got all the freedom in the world. Like, it's almost America. That's how much freedom he had. He could have expanded. And then he didn't. And he made the game so complicated for himself. So I don't know what to expect, but I'm kind of leaning towards GunGFuBanDa.
I think so as well. Overall, I feel he's adjusting so well in general to almost any situation. Not just here today against Haas, but also back to his games versus Naniwa. He was really reading the games perfectly every single time and making every single small adjustments he needed. And now against somebody like Elfi, that's definitely going to help him a lot as well to be able to do that.
I also feel he's quite smart in the mid to mid-late phase in the game, where he is just very active with his army and he won't necessarily commit to a big attack. But if there is an opening somewhere, then he will go for it. He will try to snipe an Nexus or pick off a unit or two that's out of position. It's actually going to be a Stargate opening over here for GunGFuBanDa. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that. Stargates are very, very common in this matchup. But I'm a little bit surprised, because if this is an Oracle opening, well, then there's a good chance he will get a probe or two. Maybe he won't if Elfi scouts it. If it's Phoenixes, I don't think it's going to be Phoenix.
I think it's going to be Oracle
Yeah,
into
yeah.
Blink. Like, he's very popular these days. He's does very well, and actually he used a lot of Stargate play against Naniwa back in that best of 5 that he played against him.
I'm sure
So-
Naniwa loves it that you keep bringing this one up, Todd.
Well, I mean, it's just the reference, recent PvP that he played.
No, absolutely. It was, of course, a very big series, and he played great in that series. I think you're right. I think it is going to be an Oracle. Phoenix would be surprising. There we go, as he's chrono boosting out at Oracle. Elfi, what he should most likely be doing over here is just have a couple of units.
Did you see that?
Did he? No, I don't think he did see it.
The Roddy Mothership Core, man.
Okay, so Elfi's Mothership Core is pretty far out of position, Todd. This Oracle is going to be popping in 15 seconds from now. It's very important for Elfi that he has his units in his mineral line. Just 2 Stalkers in your mineral line, by the way, is not enough against an Oracle. Eventually, you'll take care of it, but you're going to lose 7 or 8 probes. It's absolutely horrendous. Even if you have 3 Stalkers, you're going to end up losing a couple of probes. But 3 Stalkers is an absolute bare minimum you need to have
Well, actually,
against
I
an
think
Oracle.
if you have 3, you do well. It's definitely worth it to, snipe that Oracle
Mm-hmm.
quick, and, it's not going to kill that much.
No, I know, but 2 is bad.
Yeah, 2 is bad.
You're going to lose a lot of workers. So we'll see how Elfi handles it. The Mothership Core is almost home as well, though, and that's, of course, going to make life so much easier. Stalkers are moving out of position. He does have Photon Overcharge. Unfortunately, man, Blink is going to be so quick, by the way. He's been chrono boosting Blink like hell. Elfi is going to be pretty damn aggressive with this. The Oracle is going to spot everything. Photon Overcharge has to go down immediately, and that is what happens. Good reaction there. Not Propo, he didn't lose anything. Wow.
Yeah, very nicely done here. 3 of the probes were injured, but didn't end up getting killed here. And Blink is about 100 seconds behind for GunGFuBanDa, so this is going to hit pretty hard here.
If Elfi goes for a crazy blink here, just like blindly blinks up that ramp, that could go very well. He might
Yeah.
get a Stalker or 2 for free. Of course, Photon Overcharge is going to buy a lot of time for GunGFuBanDa. And I think it's very smart he's moving the units down the ramp, because if you don't have a sentry, there's no need for you to stand on top of your ramp.
Swapping units back at home right now, Elfi, just try and make sure he's going to have enough for when the Oracle comes back, because he doesn't have a second Photon Overcharge.
Yeah, this is definitely a moment where I think Elfi should also just expand as quick as possible. GunGFuBanDa has a probe on patrol in the natural of Elfi, and he's probably quite pleased to see that Elfi is not using the current map control that he has because of Blink to get a quicker expand down.
Elfi actually only has 23 probes. It seems every time he opens Blink like this, even if he gets a robo with it, he cuts probe at 16 on mineral for a very, very long time, up until he's finally made something happen. So as much as he's not building up his economy, he's going to be able to keep on warping in Stalkers.
Oh, he's going to drop the pile, and now the Oracle's going to swing in and pick up that probe. These are small things that matter so much in PvP, because now this Nexus from Elfi is again going to be delayed for another minute, and any advantage that Elfi could have had is out of the window. And look at this, he's supply blocked. That finally will get cancelled. The Oracle is going to fly into the main base, by the way. I've got 2 workers there. Stalkers will not kill it.
Wow, 6 hit points. There's still a few Stalkers across the map here for Elfi, and right now,
Oh, he doesn't even know that GunGFuBanDa is marching across the map. Well, now he does.
yeah, he's going to counterattack with the Stalkers, even though there's a Photon Overcharge available for GunGFuBanDa. How there this is going to go? I guess back at home he has at least an Immortal to work with, but I guess both expansions
Are going
could be killed here.
Yeah, he should post the Photon Overcharge immediately. Elfi's
he actually
just
blinks
blinking in the
forward.
main. I'm not sure how I feel about this. He will get a handful of probes, but he's not going to kill that Nexus Todd.
I mean, if he can get a big amount of probes, and he's actually already 10 that he sniped.
Okay, wow.
4 Stalkers, 1 shot or 1 volley of probe here, and Elfi
Wow.
is gonna bring GunGFuBanDa down to 13 probes, maybe even less.
That's absolutely insane. He's doing so much work with those Stalkers. This guy's like, hey, nothing's touching me over here. There's a beautiful sight over there as well, or a beautiful view. Elfi suddenly in a very good position. Surprised how that went. Has to be a little bit careful. Still has to rely on that Immortal. He has to make sure that he keeps his Immortal protected at all costs. Of course, losing power on the robotics facility, that stings a little. But I think, as soon as he has that second Immortal, and then with a Zealot or 2, which he already has, I don't think that GunGFuBanDa can go for a crazy blink over here. He needs to just slowly but steady catch up in the work account again.
Elfi struggling to squeeze out enough units to finally deal with this, and his Robo's gonna get unpowered. Can the Immortal come out before? Yes, he's pulling the probes. I think this is a mistake.
Yeah, he
has a
doesn't
Guardian
have to.
Shield
You've got
work
2
with.
Immortals. You've got a couple of Zealots in the mix as well. Ends up losing 4
He's
probes.
gonna fall
Elfi.
behind in Walkers, 16 to 16 now.
PvP in all its glory. 11-minute game, 16
Yeah, Elfi
workers.
has a Stalker actually across the map that sneaked in there to try and snipe some more probes, but he's just gonna get killed here.
I was still standing there. It was, it took a break from that Photon Overcharge. I don't know, it was enjoying the view. GunGFuBanDa has to be careful over here, can't push his luck too much. Elfi, very unnecessary propo over there. Of course, these are very hectic games and it's hard to make correct decisions over and over again. But Elfi did not have to pull his workers over there. And the advantage that he created for himself, it's kind of gone now, because now the German Protoss is 3 workers ahead and he has this Nexus.
I mean, like, he's just going to be in a fantastic position, already having 3 sentries to work with. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Robo go down here very soon. Or he can even be aggressive, really. Like, there is a lot of things that he can do.
Yeah, I actually don't know how, if I was, yeah, maybe a one-base play, that's not a bad thing, of course, because Elfi is the one with the robotics facility, he's the one with the 2 Immortals, and sometimes, you know, attacking on one base in this phase in the game is not something you would normally do, or what you would normally recommend, but GunGFuBanDa doesn't have a Robo, probably doesn't have a ridiculous amount of gas either to warp in sentries, so maybe right now Elfi can just march across the map and kill that Nexus?
Ah, man, you saw that Roddy Micro back there. He was blinking back very nicely. He traded a little bit. Just shields for units, and now with the sentries up the ramp.
I like this a lot. 4-stalker blink, 4-stalker hit squad is going to try to blink into the main base over here. It's going to pull these units a little bit out of position, and then I think he's going to try to run into the natural to snipe that Nexus. He has to be careful. There we go. Here's that first blink. He's going to spot that Oracle as well. He's going to realize that Oracle was real.
Oh, he might get force fielded out. Kung Fu needs some good force fields that around the ramp of the natural. Photon overcharge is needed there as well, but since he already used the one in the main and didn't have enough energy, he doesn't have a second one for the natural.
The force fields are quite good though. These Immortals are not participating in the battle at all. Now they will be. Now Elfi's going to drop a couple of force fields and GunGFuBanDa is forced. Oh, that's the key force field thought. He's going to get a lot of workers over there. Gets 12 workers in total. Of course, he got a couple in the main. GunGFuBanDa is going to blink on the high ground to try to get a free Zealot or a Stalker. But now Elfi strikes. What is this PvP thought? Like, Elfi just strikes back and kills the Nexus and he's going to go home.
Just keep on, you know, lowering each other's economy enough that it seems like this game has just been going on for just a minute or two, but no, it's actually a 14 minutes long game so far, and the Oracle of GunGFuBanDa across the map is just going to wait until that photon overcharge ends to fly in there and kill some more probes, because why not? It's what they've been doing the entire game.
Yes, and 2 sentries, that is not going to be enough. There we go, it's perfect timing, but second photon overcharge will get activated immediately. GunGFuBanDa is going to sacrifice and even lost a little bit of potential DPS there. Working on the sentry is not something you want to do with your Oracle. He could have taken out a few more workers. So now Elfi is going to be the player with the quote-unquote quicker expand, I say 15 minutes into the game. And
I'm really surprised that GunGFuBanDa sent his entire army in his main against just 4 stalkers when he had the photon overcharge. I think he could have just stood at the ramp, and if he had hit some good force fields, he would have just won right there and then. Especially because, like, why would you ever bring your sentries up the ramp? Your sentries don't have to go there, but I guess he just panicked a little bit. Because we're Protoss and we have everything on one group, Roddy, of course. Come on, you know that. Another Oracle is going to be produced by GunGFuBanDa. It's one of these moments where I wouldn't recommend making an Oracle, and I think most players wouldn't recommend making an Oracle, but because you don't expect it anymore, it actually does really well, right? It's like it's like when this happens to you, you're like, oh man, that's so stupid. Why would you ever make an Oracle in this phase in the game? And that's only because you just killed 7 workers because you didn't expect it. I mean, I think from there, surely now they're just going to stabilize and micro for some time. This has been an absolute slugfest from the start here, with players always marching across the map, fighting each other off. He has killed 33 probes already in this game, Elfi that is, and GunGFuBanDa has killed 12 workers. They've traded a lot of units, actually, like 2 Oracles died, so many sentries, so many Stalkers. Ooh, Elfi has almost nothing in his main base. There is a Mothership core, but it doesn't have enough energy for Photon Overcharge, so he's going to return the favor of the 4-Stalker hit squad. But he actually doesn't want to commit. The Oracle flies into the natural at the same time. Oh, that's some high-level play. He's doing very well over here, Todd. He's getting 5 workers, and that's the kind of plays that GunGFuBanDa needs right now, because he had an inferior army and he had an inferior economy, but now he once again takes the economic lead. What a terrible game to be a probe in. Yeah, not a very long life expectancy. Endangered species, man. Every single time you think like it's going well again, it's almost like my bank account. Every single time I feel like there is an upswing, something bad happens again. And then you stream one time. All fine again. If only that was true. Robotics Bay is about to finish up for Elfi. Of course, you know, this is still a standard PvP, despite all things. So if you can get a couple of Colossus out, that is going to be very good for him. GunGFuBanDa's Robo was very late, so his Robotics Bay is going to be even later. He is not going to have access to Colossus anytime soon, but he did create a 9-worker lead for himself. So
I wouldn't mind that much having slightly later Colossus while being 10 workers ahead.
Yeah, elfi, do you think he's planning a timing here? With being so much earlier in the Colossus tech?
I absolutely refuse to make predictions in this game, Todd.
He's gonna scout that late Robo Bay at the natural of GunGFuBanDa. And I think there is a chance he might just want to go for it. I mean, look at this. Still no simulators on the natural here for elfi.
Oh, he gets that Oracle. That is massive, actually, for elfi. That is so good. Because now he doesn't have to leave any units anymore at home. I mean, he was getting a cannon. He still is going to get a cannon because he knows that GunGFuBanDa has been making quite a few Oracles throughout this game. But I think you're 100% right. But what kind of an attack is this, Todd? The 19-minute I'm on 33 probes attack? Like,
the Colossus against no Colossus attack is probably a better way to play, especially like even in terms of Immortals. He's got 4 against 3.
Yeah, but you know how it is. Yeah, that is very important, of course. But you know how it is. Even if you have a Colossus lead, by the time that you truly made it to the other side of the map and you have your pylon close enough that you feel like you want to take the fight, most of the time the advantage that you build up for yourself is gone already. And let's not forget that GunGFuBanDa is 13 probes ahead. Any second that goes by is a good second for him.
Yeah, but I think that's why elfi doesn't want to waste any time. He's marching across the map. He's made enough probes this game. It's all about the army now. He's actually got quite a few sentries. If he was to hallucinate, say, a bunch of Archons at the front to tank some damage, I think he'd do great here, because I don't think he needs force fields in particular, but I guess I can see Mortal. Maybe he can get some good ones off.
There's going to be one Colossus, though, for GunGFuBanDa. He can drop a time warp. He has 200 energy on his mothership core. I'm glad Punk is showing us that, because that's so important. He can drop a time warp and a photon overcharge. Then I don't know, a lot of Colossus being hallucinated over here. I think that the German Proto should be able to... Oh, careful there.
Whoa,
forward blink for the Colossus.
The sentries have full energy. I'm not sure. Okay, he definitely needs to use some of that energy somewhere. Right now, elfi is doing well. He's going to stab the Colossus of GunGFuBanDa, who's pulling back all of these Immortals. They've already lost most of their shields. I think he's doing it, Roddy.
Yeah, that blink looked so eager, but it seems like it was good enough after all. These fake Colossus really messing with GunGFuBanDa over here. The Immortals are going to get sniped down one by one, and that Photon Overcharge is doing quite a bit of damage, but there are 4 Immortals still alive of elfi. His army is just so incredibly tanky right now, even though all of the Immortals have lost their hardened shields, but it's just 4 Immortals without hardened shields. They still have a ridiculous amount of damage output, and I think that elfi is going to be able to snipe the Nexus over here, and with those Zealots tanking, he's going to be able to take out of all of these probes, and I think the writing is on the wall for game number 1. An absolutely ridiculous game number 1, but the moment you warp in Stalkers, when there are 3-4 Immortals in your natural thought, you know it's time. GG! elfi takes game number 1 in a game that I think is impossible to summon up.
Action-packed slugfest with a lot of back and forth action. I guess that kind of does it. But yeah, very interesting first game here. And in the end, elfi, he seems to really feel comfortable in this kind of Colossus-based army composition here in PvP.
I mean, it was such a hectic game, though, Todd. Like, I feel like everything about it was hectic.
I mean, in terms of like decision making, and in this case, realizing that he was behind and it was time to attack. That was very, very smart.
Yeah, he does have excellent game sense, and like when his army is better than his opponent's army.
And I mean, GunGFu back against Has, he was taking all the right decisions whenever he was about to be attacked, or even while he was being attacked. But this time, definitely not. He made way too many walkers, scouted too late. Saw that finally the attack was coming, I guess, when he saw the amount of gateways that were being made in the natural and that there was no simulators there, but it was already too late. And in the end, even his positioning, like the Mothership Core wasn't in position to time warp immediately. Imagine if he had time warp while elfi was starting to enter the ramp and there was a concave setup. It would have gone a lot better for him. He could have pulled probes. Lots of things could have been done better. And I was actually wondering about his mindset, going to this series. He just was 1-1 against Jedong, and in the last game, he was in a fantastic position, proxy gate against double hatch before pull, then lost. Surely, like I know I'd be on live tilt. This is probably not helping a lot,
It could be very difficult to bounce back from, for sure. I must say a big shout out to all those hallucinated Colossus as well, though, for elfi. I think they helped out a lot. It creates a very hectic battle. You kind of lose overview of what's going on over there, because you just see like 5 Colossus suddenly, and even when you know a bunch of them are fake, it just kind of messes with you. You don't really know when you can start taking the fight or not. And that blink by elfi, he just blinked forward immediately.
Yeah.
If that fight starts 10 seconds later, GunGFuBanDa has his own extended thermal lens, and he can pull that Colossus Colossus back a lot further. On this moment, yes, he had one Colossus, but Thermal Lens was not ready yet, so he was kind of forced to keep the Colossus a little bit exposed, and that allowed elfi to go for that crazy blink that he actually made. Anyway, this group thought the madness just does not stop. In Group H, the final group of the round of 32 of WCS Premier League Season 2.
Starting in the bottom left-hand side. He's down one game. He needs to win this to stay alive in this tournament. It is GunGFuBanDa.
And over here on the left top side of Iron Fortress, we have our Finnish legend who is one map win away from qualifying for the round of 16 of Premier League. It is elfi. I love that blazer he's wearing as well, the blazer with the jacket. It just looks so cool, man.
Everybody wants to go to Toronto, man. That's the general feeling here, and all of these players. Not everybody can make it. Only one of these two guys will make it. And sadly, well, for some of us, luckily, but for some of them, sadly, because it can be a tricky matchup, it has to be through some PvP, some grueling PvP.
Yeah. Iron Fortress is a 4-player map, and on 4-player maps, you can decide to play a little crazier than you would, for instance, on Coda. Coda was pretty straight out, one player going for the Oracle, one going for the Blink. You know, into a Robo, into Expand later on, even though the game played out in such an unorthodox way. The builds were relatively standard. There is a chance we'll see something weird on Iron Fortress, but if I was going for GunGFuBanDa right now, I'd just be like, man, why did I even play Stargate? I'm so good with Twilight into Robo, I'm good with Blink Stalkers, I should just do the exact same thing as my opponent, and then I will probably win. The moment you do, you know, you have identical builds, then it's often like it's a lot easier to make the difference early on by just doing the right things. If one player goes Stargate and the other one goes Twilight, things can get a lot crazier. It's harder to really, you know, keep track of the game and keep track of everything that's going on, because you're working with different units.
Whatever happened to the Ruddy build, man? I never see double gates opener anymore, and like Stalkers.
I mean, it's of a single gate though. But yeah, you mean like the 2-gate Stalker pressure?
Yeah.
Some players still did it. It had like a small option for a while when it was 2-gate into 3-gate pressure, but you don't see it a whole lot. I mean, some of these maps are getting bigger as well, so that makes it weaker, right? The early Stalker pressure.
And why are you still doing it every game?
Because I'm a stubborn little man, Tom.
Fair enough.
No, even
both players scout each other first here, by the way.
Even I have been switching it up a little. I know you won't believe it, but it's true.
We'll see, we'll see.
Yeah, both players fighting each other immediately. It is vertical as well, which doesn't change that much in this matchup. I'm still expecting, you know, what we mentioned before, but like GunGFuBanDa just going back to what he knows best. Make sure there's no build or the loss over here, and there won't be a build or the loss if he goes Twilight, you know, with a couple Blink Stalkers and then into a Robo and then just drops an Expand himself. elfi on the other end, he's the one who's going to switch it up. He's going to drop a Stargate over here, Todd.
Yeah, I think GunGFu is probably going to go for the Twilight here you were hoping for. No, he's got quite some gas. So I guess Stargate himself here.
He's gonna go.
Oh no, he starts with Sentry. I guess he wants to expand.
Wow.
Look at this, sending a probe to natural.
1-gate fast expand with tournament live on the line.
Well,
bold move.
Yes, this man has no fear, man.
All right, so if GunGFuBanDa would follow this up with the robotics facility.
Oh, he's moving out with the Stalker. And okay, the mothership core of elfi, because I saw it headed for that mineral line, and if it got there and there's no Stalker, that's like quite a few probes dead, basically.
Yeah, you can get 3 or 4 probes very quickly. elfi's going to open up with the Oracle. And I wonder if GunGFuBanDa is going to drop his robotics facility. Do you think it's still possible for elfi to follow this up with some Phoenixes? Or would you say, like, nah, it's all going to hit a little bit too late and his economy is going to be too good for Phoenixes to be very effective?
Yeah, I don't think it's good to get Phoenixes when you open Oracle first like this. I think, yeah, look at this. Twilight and 2 more gates. It's going to be Blink. This probe, though, that he has out on the map on the right-hand side, is going all the way around. It's going to take like 5 minutes to finally get there, so...
This is a little similar to the build that Haas was trying to do against GunGFuBanDa, even though Haas, of course, proxied his Stargate, but the idea behind it is the same. And I must say, I think GunGFuBanDa handled it very well in that game. But this is, of course, going to be a little bit different. But normally, with 1-gate fast expand into a Robo, this build from GunGFuBanDa is very strong. And I think the only true weakness is Phoenix openings.
Yeah, he's gonna get in there, kill 2 probes and then get out. I think right now, elfi was already able to identify that he's up against a Nexus, and I think he might go on the aggression. Look at this, his probe is finally arriving there to set up, to start warping in some units.
Okay, so the good thing that this Oracle has done is force out a photon overcharge in the main base. In a dream scenario for elfi, he's able to force out one more photon overcharge in the main base, and then he's going to try to break the natural with Blink Stalkers. Because the Immortals from GunGFuBanDa, they are going to be great against Stalkers, of course, but they need support. They need something to buffer for them. And right now, GunGFuBanDa doesn't have a whole lot of production. So elfi is going to try. He's going to absolutely try to force out one more photon overcharge in the main base. And if I was GunGFuBanDa, I would never give it to him.
He's actually pretty far from another photon overcharge. He's on 65 energy.
Ooh, okay.
Getting trapped here before Blink finishes. Blink's actually still a whole minute.
He's just going to take the fight over here, but these units are so exposed, though. The Oracle was doing a little bit of damage to the sentries, but in the end, the Immortal does not fall. And this is not a good start of this battle for elfi, I think, because now he has also lost the ability to force out the photon overcharge in the main base, to force GunGFuBanDa to leave units there. And now GunGFuBanDa only has to focus on one area, and that's this one.
And there's a second Immortal on the map. GunGFuBanDa not paying attention to the first one. He's going to get killed ASAP. But behind this, that great force field trapping some of the Stalkers. elfi is going to have to pull back, and I think he needs to expand here.
Yeah.
I don't think he can do much more.
I really don't like this position at all for elfi. Ends up losing the Mothership Core as well.
There is a Zealot across the map too, about to attack into elfi's mineral line. I don't think he's going to have the gateways reloaded on time to warp in something and defend.
Oh, that Immortal is a little bit exposed. I don't like the positioning of that Immortal at all. That's going to be an easy pickoff over here for elfi. So he gets some momentum going, but there is one more Immortal already. There's of course that Zealot in the main base as well. And it's safe to say that the German Protoss is in an absolutely phenomenal position over here.
Yeah. Possibly equalize the score here. One more probe will be sniped, so 4 in total. Bring elfi down to 18 probes against 24, saturated across 2 bases. At this point, GunGFuBanDa, he really can do almost anything, just mass up for a little bit, go for an attack. Remember, he's against a very mobile Protoss with the Blink.
Can't believe that single Zealot just got 5 probes while he already had a better economy. So, this is just an absolutely phenomenal scenario for our German Protoss. This is a lot better, by the way. Like early, he left a couple of units just a little bit too exposed, but it could be nerves getting to him as well, being paranoid about maybe another Oracle. elfi is a crazy player who's actually making another Oracle. I didn't even see that. But like right now, if I was elfi, I would just stop making Blink Stalkers. I say that as he warps in one more. Like, of course, he needs to make something happen later on, because he knows if this game is just going to drag on for 2 minutes while both players don't do anything, he knows that he's pretty far behind when it comes to tech, when it comes to pure strength of the army.
Yeah.
So he's going to try to dance back and forward and somehow make a difference with his Blink Stalkers, but it's very difficult to find openings.
I think GunGFuBanDa is just going to get Blink and look to try and finish it, and it's what a lot of players do in this situation, actually. Going to the main here, elfi, I don't think he's going to be able to achieve much.
They can't leave!
You can't leave!
All of these Stalkers are going down. 4 or 5 Stalkers going down. In the end, 3 Stalkers will get out. This Oracle is going to get a couple probes. That's nice, but is that really worth losing 5 Stalkers? I don't think so. There were 2 Stalkers there. Looking at that army of GunGFuBanDa, wondering if they should engage it or not. And then realizing that 2 Immortals will most likely win a fight against 2 Stalkers. Oh my god, again?
He's just waiting there.
Oh. For a second, I was like, did he just kill 5 probes again? No, of course he lost 5 probes. That was because of the Oracle. So the Oracle did a little bit of damage, but at the cost of 4, 5, 6 Blink Stalkers, you can hardly call that a good trade. As important as economy is in PvP, that was just a few too many Stalkers to lose in this phase in the game.
GunGFuBanDa has got a pylon on the right-hand side here. And I think he's just going to warp in ton of Stalkers, go for it. Right now, elfi is trying to squeeze out some Void Ray. He's got one already, a second one on the way, but I don't think there is going to be any respect taught here to GunGFuBanDa because he's just got too much.
And let's not forget, Void Rays are a lot better in defensive scenarios where you're defending upper ramp. Think of Expedition Lost, for instance, where it's a little bit trickier for Blink Stalkers to get vision. But right here, GunGFuBanDa can just walk up all the way towards their natural of elfi, and then he can just start kiting back and forth. And it's very difficult to put your Void Rays in a good position because your opponent is always going to have vision of your units. Oh wow, that cheeky Blink. Very well done.
Wow, actually gets it. And behind this, elfi at home is trying to squeeze out as many units as he can, but it's mostly Zealots. If the micro is good from GunGFuBanDa, he's going to be able to snipe those Void Rays very nicely. He needs to be careful though.
I'm surprised that elfi's taking this fight so far away from his Nexus right now. Probably thought like he might be able to do something. Of course, Void Rays have activated Prismatic Alignment, so they're doing a lot of damage. But the micro is good so far. That 4th Blink a tiny bit eager, loses 2 Stalkers, but the Stalker numbers thought they're overwhelming, and there is no Immortal or something below these Void Rays. So these Void Rays right now, without charge, they're going to have a pretty hard time. The Zealots are going to try to make life a little bit easier.
Nordvoira is out actually, and behind this he's queuing an Oracle. I think he wants to fly into the middle line of Elfi to try and do some damage, but he might die before that, and even then there is cannons in each middle line of Kung Fu, so I think he's done it.
Yep, I think he's going to do it as well over here. He doesn't have to fight within the range of Photon Overcharge anymore. A German Protoss already up 16 workers. He's looking to even up the score, Todd. He doesn't want to go out like this. Blinks into the main base, and there is absolutely nothing over here for Elfi, who's going to bleed out even more probes. Voidray is very exposed right now. Only one of them activating Prismatic Alignment. We'll get maybe a Stalker or two, but good blinks. A German Protoss, I think he's going to do it over here, Todd. Yep, I mean, Elfi is going to tap out. GG is called, and it's 1-1, which means that we will go down to the rubber match. In our final group, Group H, probably the craziest of all WCS groups we've had in the round of 32.
I'm loving it, man. All of these games, lots of action, lots of small, skirmishes, small amount of units fighting each other here and there, and in the end, a lot of close games today.
Yeah, the games have been scrappy, but they have been extremely entertaining. And it doesn't always have to be, the flawless play. Because often, when people don't make too many mistakes, it also means that they're kind of sitting back and they're not really looking for openings. But these games, they're very wild. They're all over the place. And of course, you can look at it in a very critical manner. And then there are a lot of things that all players could do better. But we shouldn't forget that for both of these players on stage right now, it's the first time in a very long time that they are playing for this amount of money, that they are playing with this many people watching them, and on such a prestigious stage in the biggest StarCraft II tournament that goes on throughout the entire year. So, it's logical they're making a couple errors here and there.
Yeah, great racial distribution, by the way, for Toronto.
I was thinking about it earlier. Well, how is it?
It's very even across all races. Let me check. I think we had, with Jaedong, 7th Zerg, so Zerg's going to be the most represented race in the top 16.
No, it's already included Jaedong.
Okay, you sure?
Yes, because 6, 5, 4.
Nope. 7.
Oh, damn it.
For once.
I can't
For
do
once, Roddy was wrong and I was right.
I can't do math.
Okay, yeah, 7 Zergs, 5 Terrans, and 4 Protoss so far. So we're going to have a 5th Protoss. So very, very even. StarCraft, the perfectly balanced game.
No, the Protoss is already included. It's only 4 Protoss.
Oh, okay.
7, 5, 4
okay,
is 16.
You came back in this.
Yeah. I'm glad that I can count to 16. All right, guys, our final game in the round of 32 is going to be played on Echo. Are we going to have one more German representative in Toronto, or are we going to welcome our first Finnish player? And this time it wouldn't be Wellamo, who of course made quite a few appearances in the round of 16s in the past, but it's the old dog, the man that's been around in pro gaming since pretty much 2006, 2007. He's a true veteran, started off at a very young age. Right now he's 24. He is, no, come on, Fonka, don't do that to me. Fonka.
That's what you get for looking at your own screen.
All right, he is the man, the myth, the legend. It is Elfi.
It's funny, I was thinking during that introduction, wow, GunGFuBanDa has been around for that long?
That would mean he started pro gaming since he was 8.
And his opponent, starting in the top left-hand side, playing as the red Protoss, the local hero here is GunGFuBanDa. It's
been a very long day of StarCraft. Of course, we started a little bit later today as well. It's pretty much midnight over here in Cologne. Not the first time that StarCraft is being broadcasted here until midnight. I remember in the Intel Extreme Masters in Cologne a long time ago. That I think was running till 2 a.m. That is, I thought that was an early gate, but it's actually quite of a standard gate. Todd, game 3, PvP, everything or nothing. It's all on the line right now. You've been in this scenario. What's going through your mind? What do you want to do?
You just roll the dice, man.
No, you don't. Damn it, Todd.
I think with the way it's played out, like a good way for both of them, to try and make a difference, with, their own skill and playing better, it would be to just play Blink Observer on one base opener, see the AC qual, and then from there, expand and play standard, as you pointed out earlier.
Coda is a better map for it than Echo, though. This is not a bad map because there is this little alley in the main base, or this tiny bit of surface area where you can blink, from in between the natural and the third into the main base, match 4 Stalkers, the good old 4 Stalker hit squad, and just try to pick off as many probes as possible. But it's not the best map out there for it, but it's still, in regard of everything, it's probably the most solid Protoss versus Protoss opening.
Well, what do you think about openers? Like I'm noticing that Elfi did full saturation on his gases a little bit earlier, but not too long before. When I see that every time, I'm thinking Stargate immediately, but still it can be a Twilight.
Yeah, it could be a Stargate. I mean, like, if elfi thinks like, hey, you know, he just won game 2 with a very quick expand and into a robotics facility. Maybe my opponent is thinking, never change a winning team. I'm just going to do it one more time. You know, don't fix it unless it's broken. But it can be broken by a very quick Stargate with Phoenix play. But that would be a very risky call to make for elfi, because if it's Phoenix against Blink Stalkers, it's not impossible to win, but it is pretty damn difficult.
Okay, so I guess for now it's just going to be the Mothership Core and Stalker from both players. elfi with a little bit more gas again. He starts a Twilight, which is going to be earlier than his opponent. And we have a Twilight as well for GunGFuBanDa.
I'm not too surprised. I mean, this also shows confidence and courage of both of them, being like, all right, you know, if my opponent decides to go for that greedy build, that one gate fast expand Nexus into a robotics facility, I might be a little bit behind, but I can still make it work. And at least with this build, I won't have a build or the loss. There is nothing that's going to kill me 100% of the time. I like seeing this thought, and it shows. It shows confidence. It shows strength from both of them.
What happened to a Dark Shrine, man? Nobody goes Dark Shrine anymore, it seems like. Everybody got too good against DTs, I guess.
Yeah, you know, like even like in the old days, it was often like, does he have detection in time or not? And then it will either win or lose. But nowadays, you know, people are so good, even just hold positioning units on the ramp and buying time, that even if detection wouldn't be in time, they'll find a way to make sure they take minimum amounts of damage off the Dark Shrine. But I was recently talking a little bit with Harstem, and he actually said like, DTs are the future. And I was like, you're trolling me, right, Harstem? He's like, no, DT is the future. I was like, damn it. I was like, nobody likes those builds.
There was a time actually, DTs were used a lot with like 1 or 2 gates, you know, you just send one in. That was like the new meta at the time.
Man, Mothership Core is doing some serious work over here for elfi, getting 3 probes already.
Against just one Stalker, you can do this much. You're gonna get out here as well. I'm actually not sure if it's worth it to get out with these little hit points and energy.
I think, yeah. I mean, it's still 100 gas, so do you really want to lose 100 gas in this phase in the game? I know I wouldn't. But great scout by elfi. It's not just
the probe. The probe at the natural here wasn't found.
It's not just that elfi killed 3 workers, though, Todd. He also knows 100% sure that he's playing against the Twilight opening, and that is something that GunGFuBanDa does not know yet. He can't possibly know it. He might expect it, but he can't know it.
elfi, every time he's been opening like this with Blink, he stayed on 16 mineral probes. Every single time, so that he can warp in 3 Stalkers by 3 every single time that his gateways cooldown come back. So definitely gonna want to look to be aggressive here with this, I think.
Yeah, probably gonna try to get a cancel on the other side of the map and then expand himself, like he could have done against Haas on Expedition Lost.
Oh, he didn't proxy a pylon, and he's gonna lose the probe.
Well, then he's just gonna expand himself, but his expand is quite a bit later, and I wonder if that worries him.
His expands later, and he's got less walker, or 1 less walker actually. It's okay, not the biggest of deals. And he actually just warped into Sentry, so elfi already accepted that he's going to be expansion against expansion from there. Both players, they're going to scout with hallucinations. We're going to see mortals being made. A forge should be made for both players soon here as well.
Nice supply block there for GunGFuBanDa, thought. At 42 supply already for 10 seconds. Could have been producing a couple workers. This probe, however, does get a perfect scout in the main base. GunGFuBanDa now knows everything that he could possibly want to know in this phase in the game. We're looking at a pretty even PvP, but I think a minor advantage for our German Pro Tools, just because of the fact that this Nexus has been tied up quite a bit quicker, and he's going to be able to create a minor worker lead for himself.
After all the action-packed games we've had today, man, finally it's happening. A game where both players just kind of sit back. They waited until the end of the day, until everything was on the line, to try and qualify for Toronto here.
I mean, it's such a hard call to decide to just make like 3 or 4 extra Stalkers right now before you want to expand and try to break your opponent, because if it doesn't work, you're just going to lose the game immediately. elfi already tried to be very aggressive in Iron Fortress. It didn't really work out for him. I don't mind him taking this approach as well, where he thinks perhaps slow and steady wins the race. He has to know that he's a tiny bit behind, because he scouted when that Nexus was being warped in and he saw it was quicker than his. But, you know, PvP, you know, an advantage like that doesn't mean that much.
Yeah.
There are many ways to make the difference. For instance, with a quicker robotics facility, focusing more on upgrades, going up to 3 bases a little bit quicker, or just taking the final engagement quicker. And let's not forget, both players still have Blink. Even though they haven't really done anything with it just yet, they can always try to go for a Blink and get a couple probes.
You know what's funny? They both open Blink, and only 9 Stalkers have been made this game. 3, for GunGFuBanDa and 6 for elfi. So I guess they both wanted to be safe against one base openers, and then from there they are totally fine with just expanding. Nice catch.
Yeah, if he catches this, it's actually very nice because he's also marching across the map. But there was a Stalker there, I believe. I really like that Stalker. It's kind of a random Stalker, but since it has Blink anyway, it's completely okay for GunGFuBanDa to actually have it there, because it will always be able to get away, but it can get a lot of crucial information for you. And now it sees his army marching across the map, so at least his units will be in position.
And he sends a Zealot here with the pylon that he had on the map. Where's the... Yeah, the Mothership Core is down on the map, so I guess he's going to have to warp in some unit back at home here, elfi, to defend against this. The Zealot sees an extra Robo, and the Robo Bay here realizes that elfi, he wants to go very quickly into that double Robo, heavy Colossus production. And he's going to have, I guess, an opportunity to react accordingly, maybe with his own second Robo. You don't really go Tempest anymore, do you?
No, unless you're on 3 bases, I think. Like, if you're on 3 bases and your fort is about to go up, then I think it's okay to start thinking about it. But this early on, I think it's quite difficult to make Tempest work. They are not, the game-deciding unit that they used to be in PvP ever since that damage got reduced versus massive units. I like that elfi immediately realized, like, hey, suddenly there's a Zealot. I was out on the map, I didn't see that Zealot passing me. He must have a pylon. He finds that pylon. And what I also like, for the people who wondered, like, why did elfi just march across the map and didn't do anything and then backed off? It's because, like, he knew he was a tiny bit behind, so he could pretend to make an attack. He could fake an attack. Maybe this will stop GunGFuBanDa from producing workers for a split second, while elfi actually at home is forcing out as many probes as possible and getting that second Robo, like Todd mentioned. So creating a minor advantage for himself like that just by moving out. They don't necessarily have to fight to make a good play.
Yeah, elfi though, his attack upgrades are very, very late. Oh, actually, you're going to get some Stalker Squad here. This is never good at this stage in the game.
That's very unfortunate for elfi there. Kind of a random blink forward for no reason, and he just blinked into the middle of their army. Stalkers are, they're still good. You can always do something with it, but in a big fight when the armies clash, they're not supposed to make the difference. What we saw early today on Expedition Lost, that is not how things are supposed to play out normally. I like how GunGFuBanDa immediately realizes, like, all right, well, this is my cue to go up to 3 bases. elfi will scout that immediately.
And then he can choose either to take a 3rd base himself or go for an attack.
I was very surprised, by the way, when elfi said in his interviews, like, I didn't even check for his upgrades. I don't think they're very important in PvP. I think there are a lot of pros players who will disagree with that. Like, the attack upgrades are actually very important, but of course having a Colossus advantage might even be more important.
Very nicely done here with sniping the probe. Going to delay that 3rd Nexus from starting here for elfi, who's still doing a very good job in terms of supply. Putting out 2 Colossi at the time for both. There's 46 probes to 46 probes. Man, this is like the most even game. Only really the +2 of elfi is going to be so far behind. That's like the only thing. And I guess he's Nexus a little bit as well.
I do think that GunGFuBanDa has done a pretty damn good job in creating a couple of advantages for himself ever since he picked up the Stalker.
He's going to get that.
Yeah, he's going to get it. He's going to force a cancel.
Oh, he wasn't going to get that. Actually, he blinked before, I think. And then elfi still cancels.
The shots were in the air already. I'm not sure. Either way, great move again by our German Protoss in the final game over here. Once again, for the people who just joined us, if GunGFuBanDa wins this game, he will qualify for Premier League round of 16, and he will be heading towards Toronto, where he will be playing quite possibly in front of the biggest audience that he has ever played for and will probably play for in a long time. And he's doing a very good job so far. But all these minor things, all these minor traits, as good as they are for him, one bad engagement, your Colossus out of position, your army being time warped, and everything, has been for nothing. It will all go up in vain immediately.
It's so funny that elfi never started +2, by the way. Like, he really thinks these upgrades are not important. Imagine he's right. He was like right all along. He revolutionized the PvP meta. Like Mr. Bitter knew. Calling elfi the prophet.
elfi has 7 Colossus against, there were 4 Colossus for GunGFuBanDa, but now there is 5, and the 6th one is about to pop. I don't think having a 1 Colossus advantage makes up for an attack upgrade, unless he just gets a much better engagement. Morphing these Archons at home, that's going to delay his attack quite a bit.
It's very hard to set up for a good fighting position, by the way, here on this map. This is the entire trick. That's why I lose every game I play on this map in PvP. Like, setting up a concave and receiving your opponent's army, in a good position, very, very difficult to do. You can also bait, a bad fight from your opponent here if you're elfi.
I don't like this that much. He's actually making a war prism right now, GunGFuBanDa, that is like, mate, you're being all in with tournament life on the line. All you have to pretty much do over here is hold. If GunGFuBanDa holds over here, he is going to win. He will advance to Toronto. But if he doesn't, you know, if he loses anything over here, the game will end. The Warp Prism is not going to make the difference.
I think elfi is playing to his image here. I think he was trying to pretend that this is a fake and he's taking a third at the same time, but he's actually really going for it. The army supplies are still even, and elfi, it looks like his position might be a little bit better. No, actually,
he walked into the time warp top. Those Colossus took a lot of damage. The Immortal is going to go down as well. The Archons were still alive for GunGFuBanDa, who is now taking a 15 supply advantage. Has to be careful that he doesn't overstep his boundaries over here, as a couple of Zealots will march forward, but he should have his own defensive warp-ins real soon, ready again. He had a cannon there as well, and I think the German Protoss is going to do it over here, Todd. A couple of Archons being morphed in. He has to be careful though, he's really fighting so close to the violence of elfi, but maybe he's been so far ahead that it doesn't even matter anymore.
he wants to make sure this Colossi do not get away. Remember, he's not sure whether or not there is a third base right now, even though he might have a pretty good idea. And there's going to be too much. GG! The German player GunGFuBanDa advances to the round of 16.
Had to work very, very hard for it, but he does get it. He will be the final player to qualify for the round of 16, and he is heading towards Toronto. So it's an event that is promising to be one of the absolute greatest events of the year. It's been a ridiculous day, Todd. There has been so much happening in this group. It's definitely been one of the most memorable round of 32 groups of all time, I'd say. We've seen things that we normally don't see in Premier League. We've seen a little bit of everything, and now even at the last game of the day, I would say we saw a fairly standard game for a change, which was refreshing to say the least, but I think it's well deserved. I think he deserved to advance over here. He seemed overall slightly more solid in PvP.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because that last all-in here by elfi, I really saw it coming. Like he was behind on everything. He waited until GunGFuBanDa took a second base to take his own. GunGFuBanDa was getting ahead on a lot of things, you know, the expansions, the upgrades, and then finally, that final straw, the probe that he sniped and the cancelled and on the Nexus, that was like, enough is enough. You've slowed down my Nexus enough. I'm going to attack you and kill you. And
yeah,
it didn't work for him.
Yeah, it's really hard to make those all-ins work. You know, GunGFuBanDa did a phenomenal job in setting himself up in a very strong defensive position. And if you attack into someone, then slowly but steady your army will clump up even more. And those Colossus do so much damage. But well, that's going to be it for us. Let's hear from the man himself, who's at the desk with Sean.
Thank you very much, Rotterdam. Our 16th player, our second German to make it to the season finals. Must be a great moment for you now, right, GunGFuBanDa? It keeps on going, it keeps on going, it just doesn't stop. I mean, talk to us about what's going through your mind right now. This is a massive moment in your career, obviously the biggest point of your career so far. You're going to Toronto, you're going to represent Germany over there at the season finals. A massive moment.
I'm so proud that I am able to make it, and I hope I can do as well, as good as TLO will do in Toronto.
Pig?
Just an absolutely astonishing series there. I mean, in terms of the gameplay, your PvP has been absolutely stellar today. What do you think it is about PvP? Why do you like the matchup so much? Why are you so good at it?
I don't know, like, I think it's the most balanced matchup and not like versus Terran or Zerg, so I'm feeling confident with my race.
Yeah, you showed a lot of confidence throughout the day, even when it looked a little bit down. You went to the decider match. Didn't go the best way you wanted it to through some of the moments in that series. How were you able to keep so calm there? What was making you keep going? What was keeping you alive in this? What were you thinking of? Was it the Toronto? Was it the crowd here?
Of course, it's the crowd, and also, like, I never was been at Toronto, so I'm quite happy that I go there. And also, like, I don't know, I shouldn't lost some games, and yeah, I knew that I am the better player, so I was confident in myself, and yeah.
All right, one question I have for you here is, let's. We talked about it with Jadon, that third game. I want to bring it up now. I mean, we've got the first thoughts away from the Toronto, but that third map. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, it was just my bad. I was so stupid. Like, oh my god, I won, and then, like, I was easy peasy, and then fucking gold expansion won him this game.
Pig, last question.
How does it feel to be going to Toronto to play in front of the biggest crowd ever? I think you've had some critics, but you've also had a big performance at Fragbite, almost winning there. Are you going to make it even further in Toronto?
If I don't get any Terran, I'm fine, and yeah, like if I get Terran, I'm pretty scared of, but when I get a Protoss or Zerg, I'm quite happy, and I think I can go further.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, your 16th finisher in the round of 32. GunGFuBanDa makes it to Toronto. He will be representing Germany. And that does it for the round of 32 in the Premier League. We have officially completed every single group, starting in America and finishing today in Cologne, Germany, which leaves us with one final thing to do before we close up the broadcast. We're going to go to a break, but when we come back, we will officially draw the groups for Toronto, Canada for the season finals. Who will play who? It's all on the line when we come back.
I move objects with my mind.